Hmm. Test the sound. And we're live. Good morning, guys. Morning. It's Monday. It's the 13th of January. This is the DAX Technical Analysis webinar, and I hope you all had a good weekend. Welcome back to the screens, and let's jump into this. Okay, we will just start off with the trading disclaimer. It's the standard thing. Trading financial markets is risky, involving the risk of losing invested money. We're not providing financial advice here. This is mainly for educational purposes only. Any trading decisions that you make are entirely at your own risk. And right, before we jump into the charts, I'll just take a look and see what's expected to come out today. And the main news that we had on Friday and for the latter part of last week was to do with the planes, the Iranian planes, with the admission from Iran that they did accidentally shoot down that Ukrainian airliner. From there, we had a bit of a de-escalation of tensions, or leading up to that, we had the de-escalation of tensions, and the focus still remains on that. But I think for now, it seems to be at least a kind of a modest response. So that seems to be a distraction which is not having as much of an impact on the market at the moment. Oil price is trading at around about $65 a barrel, which is below the level before that Iranian general was assassinated. So we'll move back to the other news. In the UK, we've got the monthly GDP estimate for November, so that will have potential impact on the pound pairs on our Forex signals later. That'll be decisive for whether or not the Bank of England are going to cut the policy rate later this month. And the signs seem to be pointing towards that, perhaps. But we think that really, further pound weakness is possible, and it's not yet priced in. What else have we got this week? Looking forward to the official signing of the US-China Phase 1 deal, potentially on Wednesday. Watch out for that. And ECB minutes on Thursday is something else to watch out for. On Friday, we had NFP, and I don't trade NFP Fridays, and nor should you really, unless you want to have a gamble. But that was the main event on Friday, and the US labour market report for December came out at 145,000 compared to about 166 on the consensus estimate. And the revised November number was actually 10,000 lower at 256. So that would be that. And not really that much to discuss on it. I think for the economic reports, at least, that's pretty much the main stuff. So let's go through a few things on the charts then. We've got the 60-minute chart here in front. I'll look at that. I'm going to take a look at the strategy that we started coding together, which was this one here. And I've made a bit of an edit to that, so I'll talk you through that. We'll take a look at the key levels for today and also a new page that I've built on the website. All right, let's jump in. So the composite January profile is this one here on the left, and you can see that it's pretty jagged. You can see that there are 1, 2, potentially 3 different high volume zones here that could be classed as value areas on the January profile. We're currently trading at around about 13.5, which is in the top half above the value area for January. And the one thing I noticed is that the point of control, the developing POC, has jumped from this value area to this one. Just simply because the more volume was traded over there towards the end of last week. Okay, this blue area was originally marked as an area of interest where 2 gaps actually straddled that area. In fact, 3 gaps have now straddled that area. So I'm going to keep that on the chart for now. The major low is down here at 12.9. And the major high, which we've tagged 3 times, in fact, you could even say 4 times now, is this zone here. You can notice that we did it on the overnight session as well, and we're still finding some supply up here. I'd like to see that zone get broken, but it's tagged it a few times and it's failing to really break above it. The longer it manages to hold, the more self-fulfilling that supply or that resistance zone will be. And I've got the upsloping fork line here, which was drawn from this ABC down here. It's not the most fantastic 3 pivots. The A line is not really that strong, but it does cut straight through that gap, which is the reason why I've kept it on the chart. And you'll notice that it held the lower median line parallel before zooming through the center line and holding the center line up towards the upper median line parallel, practically touched that before starting to resolve and fade back into a bit of normality. But the failure to break above the 13,550 here could be interesting. So keep an eye on that. Right, let's jump into this. And we'll come back to the key levels in just a moment. So this is still the same pitchfork that we drew on the previous chart. It's still the same zone that we drew on the same chart. And the blue line is still the same. The differences would be that we've got a number of different arrows, which are part of the little strategy we started coding a couple of weeks ago. We've got a new indicator with some dots here. This is called the super trend stop. And we've got an RSI here, which looks a little bit unusual because I've put the 2 lines rather than at 30 and 70, I've put the 2 lines at 50. All right. Let me talk you through the idea that I had on this, which was pretty simple in that we want to look for situations where price was underneath the 50 and is now above the 50. That would be a bullish signal. And where price was above the 50 and is now below the 50, that would be a bearish signal. But in order to be bullish or bearish, price has to be above or below the super trend stop. So what I mean by that is, for a bullish signal on RSI, we need for price to be above the super trend. All right, so if price is above the super trend and we get a situation where price was below the RSI and is now above, then that would be the signal. So for example, just about in there, you can see that it was above super trend, it was just below and then came back above. That would be a buy signal. And that is a buy signal right there on this strategy. In fact, actually, that one would have been quite nice because it's called a 340-point move, which is pretty interesting. Again, you could have said that this one here would have called another 200-point move to the downside. Retrospect, or hindsight is easy to see things in retrospect, but it's an idea that's worth exploring, I think. It gets a little bit choppy in here. As any strategy, nothing's perfect. But again, it does cause some interesting moves. And this one here would have been another one it caught on Friday. £100 or so. All right. So go and check that out. And to code that, I've just used a color bar based on alert condition study. That one. And I've asked it to print out on the buy signal a up arrow, 25% underneath the low. And the conditions that I've used is to say when RSI was underneath 50 of the last candle, and then the most recent candle was above 50 at the same time as super trend being underneath price. So that's these dots. All right, and that gives you an idea. If you want more information on that, send me a message on Telegram. All right, but let's move on. Okay, we'll take a quick look in on the daily chart, and you'll notice here that, again, we've still got the pitchfork here. It's the upsloper that spans for the last 12, 13 months or so. The average high, the all-time high line is at 13,604. We're not that far away from that now. Less than 90 points. And if it continues to move momentum-wise, then the upper median line parallel will be the longer-term target. The 2020 composite profile has remained pretty contained within a high volume node from 2019, above the value area from 2019 still, and contained above this demand zone, just around about that 13,000. All right. quick check on the moving averages. The 5 is 421. That's 13,421. And the 8 is 13,376. So the 5 is above the 8. The 8 is above the 50. And the 50 is above the 200 still. All right. Okay, what else have we got? Key levels for today. We're currently trading around the point of control. And we have found ourselves a mini resistance zone on the or within the value area from Friday, around about that high volume zone, hence the point of control. The value area high is at 13,542, and I think we already have had a go at taking that out on the overnight session. We pierced it, but like we've said, there was a pretty heavy reaction to breaking above that zone. Struggled to do it on Friday. In fact, we didn't do it on Friday. You can see the zones I'm talking about here. And it was pretty interesting Friday to just watch out for this zone here because, in fact, it's already touched it this morning. You'll notice that we found support here on Friday inside the value area of Thursday. Failed to break above the highs, sort of trapped within this mini range before breaking down below that and almost using that area as support, resistance, if you like, from the underside. And this morning gapped above that zone, and we're now using it again as support. So that could be an interesting zone to just continue to watch. But scenarios will be a decent break above the overnight high. We can start to see a move up towards the all-time high. A break to the downside below this 483 level would see ourselves look at taking out a gap close. All right, not too much more to say. I'm not going to look at the initial balance idea for today. Okay, and we'll jump over to the strategy. It's going to be a little bit shorter today. And I'll just explain that I have built a page on the website. You can go and find it out easily enough, the daxtrader.co.uk. And let's just bring up a chart here. Brought up a page which you can find underneath the DAX analysis page over here. And it's actually called DAX videos at the moment. Oh, no, wrong one. DAX Strategy, called DAX Strategy Guide. If you click on that, it basically builds up a page that shows you how to trade the strategy optimally. So as you scroll down, it will just keep a track of how things should be traded on there, how many different trades would have been available to take from the strategy, and trading it optimally from the day. So this would have been Thursday, the 2nd of January. There's a probably change the navigation on this, but this is a little mini slideshow where you can skip across to the next one. I'll probably make those clickable so it brings up the full size image as well. And that will give you an explanation of how they would work. And we've got the second week's one on there as well. And so you've got through from Monday the 6th and all the way up to Friday the 10th. And each one of those shows you the ideal, optimal ways of trading the strategy from there. All right, if you want a copy of the strategy or you want to find out more about it, then have a look at the strategy page. You'll see it there and you'll get access to it. All right, guys, that is pretty much what I wanted to show today. To answer a couple of questions that I had over the weekend regarding this MetaTrader to Telegram software. Now, when you want to purchase this one, you just need to be aware that there is an instructional video that helps you install it, but it might not explain one of the or two of the points that I need to try and figure out how to answer, basically. So I'll probably just put something up on the site. But the first thing is, if you buy the if you buy the compiled version, just the regular normal code, you need to make sure when you install it that you're doing this. There's a section in here you need to make sure you do, which is to add the Telegram API link to your MetaTrader. So you just go into your tools, go to options, there's an expert advisor tab, and in there is a link that you need to put, which is something like api.telegram.org or something like that. Make sure that's in there and make sure the web request is clicked. And let me just get out of this for some reason. There we go. What was the other one to mention as well? Of course, regardless of whether you buy the uncompiled version, which is the full source code, or the compiled version, which is the compiled version that just runs out of the box, you need to make sure that you only put the software on one chart. All right, if you put it on 3 or 4 or 9 or 10 charts, it's going to send you 3 or 4 or 9 or 10 notifications each time you make a trade. Okay, and that's simply because the EA just runs on a separate chart, can put it on anything like copper or like, I don't know, palladium, or a chart that you don't trade, and just minimize it, put it in the background, and then whenever you open a trade on any other chart, it will send that information to the channel. Okay, so you just need one instance of it running on your MT4 platform, and that's it. And that will get that working. Right, guys, so that's that. So quick summary, the strategy, there's the strategy guide. Go and check that out. And that answers a couple of questions for this MetaTrader to Telegram software. And as a reminder, that will enable you, whenever you open up a trade on MetaTrader, it will automatically send it through to a Telegram channel of your choice, providing that you are an administrator of that channel. Right, so that is what I wanted to go through. But for the DAX for today, I think we're going to keep an eye out for looking for longs. It's still bullish on the market, and we are high at the moment. It is up there, but there's still potential opportunity to get into longs. We just need to be aware of the risk that there is a supply zone forming here in 550. If we get along into that zone, it could easily chop us out. Right, that's me done. Have a good trading day, and we'll catch you.